I think that's, well, maybe not at that time, but the media kind of just portrays all you see is the bad. So
Of
when
course,
you're going on those trips, you anticipate all of that bad to happen to you, and then like you said, you see people want better for you. People want to see you do well, and they'll help you out if they have the
I'm
chance.
telling you, so many people helped us when we, especially like that first trip that me and my brother took. It was unbelievable the support that we got from strangers. You know what I mean? And again, it was hard, but we we did it, man, and it was really cool. It was really something
And
else
do you
that trip.
think when you go on those types of trips too, because it's interesting, I mean, I'm a pretty spiritual guy when it comes to Christianity and just what I believe in as far as like angels and people who are around you in certain areas of your life. Like you will run into those moments with people that you don't necessarily know how they're going to respond to you even on your own journey, and like they play a role, they play a major role. And like, is
Absolutely,
spirituality come into play when you have been on that journey?
big time. Yes, 100%. And I think we're all on spiritual journeys, physical journeys, spiritual, same thing, right? It's
Right.
like our body's going through this life, and we're guided by our own spirit, but also like all the spirits around us, the spirit, if you want, you know, it's like I believe there's one spirit that's around us all the times, making sure that we end up where we're supposed to be. And yeah, man, there were times, even if I wasn't a spiritual person, there's times that you're put into situations with people and you're like, there's no way
Yeah.
that this wasn't like supposed to happen. It was
Yeah.
just too perfect. Like, there's one, I don't want to jump ahead, right? But I guess I'll explain a little bit. We started off in that Astrovone, right? And
Okay.
we hit like 18 or somewhat. We wanted to see all the states that we could drive to. That was like our kind of our mission when we left with the van. After like 18 or so states, the van blew up, right?
Christ.
Just yeah. So now we're like on the side of the road, like, what do we do now? You know?
Yeah, right.
And we hitchhiked for a little bit, and then we ended up in Tacoma, staying with a friend, Tacoma, Washington, which is just south of what's the big city up there? Washington. What's the big
What was
one?
your driving limit, like as far as like what do you think? What was your distance as far as like states, places you could drive to? Because like for me, like places I could drive to is like Florida and back. Like
I mean, we hit some long trips. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know even the longest one. I mean, one time I drove, this was a different trip, but I drove from the Grand Canyon to New Jersey in one shot. That was brutal. That was
that's like 40,
bad.
it's like that's got to be 35 hours.
It was rough.
Yeah.
Holy
that
smokes.
was bad. I mean, another long one. We went from somewhere. It was right on the border of I think Iowa and Nebraska. So it was like the eastern side of Nebraska, and we
Right.
went all the way halfway through Colorado. That was another really
Yeah.
long trip. But so we got
Yeah,
to
we'll go back,
Tacoma, which is right south of Seattle. That was the city, right? Just south of Seattle. And we stayed with a friend. She had like a nice place, and she was like, "You stay as long as you want." And she took good care of us. And we found a jiu-jitsu gym out there, so like we had a little family out there.
Yeah.
And we had just mentioned about looking to get bicycles because we were like, if we're gonna like move around, we need bicycles. Chick in the jiu-jitsu gym was like, "Oh, you got to go check out Second Cycle." We're like, "What's that?" It's like this bike shop. It's like a community bike shop where nothing costs money. You just go there. They teach you how to work on your own bike. They have all the tools, all the parts. Most of the stuff they get is donations. So like, you know, they stay open. However, they stay open, but nothing really costs money. A bunch of street punks. They're all like vegans with mohawks, and they looked at us and they were like,
Yeah.
they walked in. We're like, "We're looking to get bicycles. We don't have any money, but is there anything we could do?" And this dude like looked us both up and down. He goes, "I think this bike will fit you." And then he starts like, he got all into it right
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
He's like, "You guys work here a couple days a week for a week, a couple hours a day, and we'll like build you bikes." You're like, "Hell yeah!" So then we took the bikes and we rode them all the way down the coast, right? It was like 2,000 miles. And on this bike journey,
Yeah.
right, there was one day, I have to have a name for this day. It was just like, it was such a roller coaster of emotions this day because we woke up wet, like it foggy and shit out there, right? So like we literally woke up like wet, got the worst sleep ever, and it was like, damn, dude, we gotta like ride bikes right now. Like this was only like 4 or 5 days into our trip, and we were like, what the fuck are we doing? Like this sucks. And we're riding through these like weird logging towns where there's just like huge portions of forest that are just like cut down, and everybody lives in these little shacks and trailers, and it's just kind of like a depressing start to our day. And we were like, man, this is tough. We just kept pedaling, we just kept riding. We get to this one town, and there's just nothing. There's just nothing in this town. Like we were like, where can we find some food? And they're like, well, there's like one bar that's open. And we're like, we don't have any money, so like that's not really gonna work for us. We run into these two girls and a dog. And they had these big packs. Like you could tell they were on the road too. So we were like, what are y'all doing? They're like, oh, we're probably gonna find some bush to sleep under. We're like, cool, us too. 2 dudes, 2 girls. We were like, this is cool. Let's hang out. You know? So they're like, we're trying to get to this place in California, to this farm. They wanted to trim some weeds. So that was their goal. We were just looking for somewhere to stop for the day. And as we're standing there, this little like Volkswagen car like pulls up. This dude gets out, and I can't like exaggerate this. The dude had like this long curly blonde hair, crystal blue eyes, and he had this like, you know those shirts that are like real thin? He looks like an island guy.
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah.
He just like had this like real thin white shirt. He looked like an angel. Like he actually looked like light was coming out of him. And we're like, oh man, what's this guy? And he's like, anybody going to this place? And the girls were like, that's where we're going.
Yeah.
And at first we're like, damn, that's kind of cool. Like he's literally going to where they were trying to get. Then they're like, well, I guess if he's going to give us a ride, we don't need this chicken. And then they just like had a chicken. They were vegan, so they didn't eat the chicken. They were going to give it to the dog. But since they were going to get their ride, they're like, you guys can have this chicken. So now we're like, hell yeah, dude, we got some food. Curly hair busts out $40 and just gives it to us. And we're like, dude, we got money, we got chicken. They got the ride. And then I was like, we're all 5 of us are just standing there. We're like, man, this couldn't be more perfect. And he's like, is there anything else you guys want? And like as a joke, I was like, you guys got any weed? And then the girls were like, we got weed. And they handed us like an 1/8 of nugget. And we were like, what the hell's going on here, man? Like the 2 girls and me and my brother, we showed up. We had nothing. Nothing. They had a chicken that they didn't even eat, right? Like none of us had shit. They got the ride to where they were going. We got dinner. We got money. And then it was just like you
won that day.
Like the day that just started so awful, just like ended up being perfect. And it just so happened this dude like drove by and stopped his car. Like, you know, moments like that are where you're like, someone's looking out. You know what I mean? Like just, and it's always just when you think like you're beat. Like it can suck and you get through it, but once you're like, man, this is just a beat day and I'm throwing it
you're
out.
Approaching that rock bottom feeling.
All of a sudden, it was just like we had everything. You know?
Everything's getting dim, and then that one beam of light just strikes down.
And the day got perfect. It ends up getting not perfect again too.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Funny, right? On the end of every rainstorm, there's a rainbow, and then at the end of that rainbow, there's another rainstorm. Like it's just the way it goes. But we were grateful, man. We have full bellies.